If you live in a small home or have small spaces, you're definitely trying to find places to add more stuff that you need around your house. My friend, I'm going to show you this right now. Many real estate agents are finding all sorts of neat things in other people's homes that have been great space savers. And I'm going to share those top 10 things with you. You don't have to be a super mega DIYer to know how to do any of this stuff. Most of it, you just need a screwdriver and a hammer and a stud finder. So let's go ahead and start looking at these things because they're amazing. I'm starting off with my friend Ray Ellen, who's come up with an ingenious way of hiding his spices. Underneath the cabinet, he has put a piece of metal, and that metal is magnetic. And so are all the caps that go on to the spices. All you have to do is sit there and plop them all up there. Make sure you label those spices because nothing's worse than putting in tarragon when you meant to put in oregano in your spaghetti sauce. Now that we've utilized the underneath the cabinet space for your spices, what about your backsplash? This is a perfect way to add more space, especially if you don't want to clutter up your countertops. So just go ahead and hang a rack. Look at this thing. It's amazing. You can go ahead and put your paper towels, your measuring spoons, and even your cookbook, so it'll be easy for you to go ahead and follow along with that recipe. Just recently, I was in a tiny home that had this clever little space that you could pull out, and it would have all these little cups inside so you could organize all your spatulas and whisks and all those kinds of things. I thought it was genius. So if you're building a house and it happens to have a tiny kitchen, think about these kinds of things ahead of time. But what if you already have a kitchen and it's tiny? If you have a little space between your refrigerator and your cabinetry, this is a super clever way to add a little extra pantry space. This thing is easy to put together too. You just need to have a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra patience, and boom, you have extra pantry space. Who wouldn't want that? Whether you have a small home or not, everybody has that corner cabinet that totally stinks. Reason being, when you have that corner cabinet, sure enough, when you go towards the back, that it's like the abyss. It's all the stuff that you forget about that you even have, and then when you go to move, you're like, oh, that's where that mixer was. This is a super great way to utilize that corner cabinet. It's a Lazy Susan. They've been around forever and they're very easy to install. It's just a click and screw into the top and screw in the bottom and whoosh, that's it. I don't know if it actually makes those noises, but it's no secret if you have a tiny home or a tiny space is to put hooks on the wall. But sometimes those hooks aren't really necessarily the cutest things in the whole entire world. But these hooks I found were extremely cute and modern and sleek looking, and it gave a little bit of more interest to your eye when you put the towel in itself. I thought it'd be a great way for anybody to update any of their hooks in their house. Not only that, talk about easy to install. All you have to do is pull off the little sticky tape on the back. This isn't so much of a space saver or a DIY project, but I just wanted to throw it in there. I hate the look of a trash can, and some people don't have a problem with them. But if you do want to hide away your trash can, I found this one on Amazon. It was inexpensive and it's very thin, which is important because you don't want to take up as much space in that tiny kitchen. So this way it will kind of blend in with your cabinetry, and you'll have a space where you can throw away your trash with, well, being like super obvious, like there's my stinky trash. In recent years, the most modern way to update a house that's small is to take off the doors. You're thinking, well, take off the doors. Well, that's kind of silly. But what I'm telling you is to replace them with barn doors. Not only do they look really nice, they also save you a ton of space. You can purchase them at just about anywhere at any hardware stores. The only thing I recommend is that you definitely find something that has a good hardware. Those casters at the top make a big difference. And if you buy cheap casters that roll, they're going to end up falling off. So make sure you get the best ones possible. For this DIY project, all you're going to need is a screwdriver, a laser leveler, and a good stud finder. Not this one, but this one. Oh! All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming. If you're super handy, you can actually take off the doors in your house and turn them into barn doors. With that being said, I would definitely take a lot of extra time to get it done and done correctly. Typical box shelving can get kind of boring, but if you are looking for something with a little bit of more architectural appeal, I found these online as well. They're super easy to install and they add a lot of character and storage space. This is a great way to utilize the corners of your tiny home. The installation installation is pretty simple. Just follow the directions. If you have a screwdriver and a nail and a stud finder, you're good to go. With that being said, you don't want to put them in every single corner because you don't want your house to be cluttered, and it doesn't take long to make a tiny space look cluttered. Make sure you're very strategic on where you put your shelving, that's for sure. I've been in many tiny homes where they have a loft upstairs where they can use for a bedroom. Some of them don't have a lot of ceiling space, and most definitely if you're going to use like a queen size or king size mattress, they take over the whole loft. So with that, of course, you don't have room for an end table. I did find this really cool, unique shelf that you can use to charge all your cell phone devices like we all do at night. It's easy to install. Again, all you need is a screwdriver and a good stud finder so it can hold the weight of an iPad, and then you're good to go. And it's a space saver. And who doesn't need to charge their cell phone device at the end of the day? Like everybody does. If you haven't purchased a bed for your loft area or tiny home, definitely consider buying a bed that has storage underneath it. It's an awesome way to add a little extra space. We put this one in ourselves. It's a very inexpensive bed. The installation of these beds is super easy to assemble. All you need is a screwdriver and a hammer and you're on your way. Even though it's cheap, it's lasted us for over 7 years. So don't be afraid to buy yourself a little less expensive bed until you can afford a new one, and definitely get one with the storage in it. I have this in my own home. This is a rack that you can go ahead and purchase at like Target, Amazon, anywhere. So never forget about the back of your door when you have a closet. It's a great way to add extra space that you need desperately when you have a tiny home. The best part about those is the fact that all you have to do is hang them up. I mean, you don't even need a screwdriver, just hang it. So this I saw on Pinterest, and what they had done is they had taken mason jars and they had hooked them to a board. And in those mason jars, they organized their Q-tips and cotton balls and they put them on the wall. It was a cheap way of getting, first of all, rid of all those mason jars that you don't even know why you have them. Secondly of all, it looks really cool. And thirdly of all, it adds a lot of extra storage. Anybody could do this. Now that we've entered the bathroom, nobody really likes to talk about toilet paper, especially with 2020 the way it's been. But this is a great way to hide your toilet paper. Not only is it a toilet paper holder, but it's also a storage area as well. You can hide extra rolls of toilet paper and all sorts of things. It's a nice tall shelving unit and it doesn't take much to put together at all. Now that we've seen all 10 items, which one are you going to be using in your room? I know which one I'm going to be doing, and that's the one where it has the shelf with a cord. I need that for my room. If you'd like to see some more videos like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because you matter.